Alright, we are back, and we are about to cast the second of our semi-finals, which will be a top 4 match played between Joseph, Tong, and Bryan Tan.
Joseph, very strangely, is using a very... How do I put it?
It looks very standard.
Yeah.
In team review, it looks perfectly standard.
But has a few nasty surprises, I think. Which,
so I would hope Bryan Tan has had enough time to maybe get prepared for surprises. It remains to be seen.
Maybe he already knows about those surprises.
He's giving me a very confident look, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
Joseph seems to have gotten his love for surprises from his good friend Li Jie as well, so this will be a very interesting match to watch. Since Bryan is running the more unconventional pair of Xenius and Yveltal together, without any primal legendaries.
I do think Yveltal will be quite crucial for his matches against Joseph, because of the priority Sucker Punch and the power it gets from the Dog Aura boost as well, and kind of provides a bit of cover fire for Xenius to get set up. So,
yes.
But Joseph himself does have a couple of tricks to deal with Xenius, so we'll have to see how they adjust.
Right, so both players at this point, I would assume they kind of know what each other is packing already. Since, the thing is though, Bryan's was featured on stream, so Joseph will probably have watched that. Whereas Joseph's top 8 match was off stream, so Bryan might not have had as much of a chance as Joseph has had to see his own team.
Well, how do I put it? It will all come down to them trying to outplay each other and the prediction. And I suspect that the leads as well will play a very important role, especially for Bryan.
Yes, Bryan has shown the inclination to get Xenius rolling as soon as possible. And well, we've seen how Joseph can stop that.
Yes. So it'll be interesting to see how Bryan reacts and adapts to that, even as the match goes on.
Because we've seen a lot of players try to their default Xenius counters tend to be options that are non-attacking moves.
Yes.
So your Thunder Wave, or maybe you match the Tailwind, your Haste. So Bryan has shown that by putting Thunderous next to Xenius, he can taunt the supporter and make it a very safe Geomancy. Joseph though employs a very different way of getting rid of Xenius.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, usually Xenius players will fear more of the physical spectrum, and that's why usually they have some intimidators like the Mans, or some people use Landorus as well, or even Mawile. So to kind of allow Xenius to give it a bit more breathing room to survive physical hits.
So we're about to see what Bryan has in store for us as well.
Yes.
As both players are slowly getting ready for their set. Farman, of course, waiting for the winner in the finals.
Yeah, I think he'll be watching this match very intensely.
It's Farman. Who knows what he's doing at any point in time.
Actually, no, he seems quite relaxed actually.
Farman always looks relaxed. Farman only gets stressed when he plays against Wei Wen.
Well, thankfully Wei Wen is not in the top card, so Farman does have a decent shot of placing first in today's regionals.
Yep, a first regional championship win. And at this point, honestly, whoever wins the regionals will be a first-time winner, since the last players remaining are Farman, Joseph, and Bryan. So Bryan technically has won the regional before in the senior division, so I guess that's that.
Well, if he can prove that win in the seniors division was not a fluke by getting a win again in the masters division, then that will definitely boost his
street cred.
Yes.
That's one way to put it. That's one way to put it. Well, he'll certainly shake out the metagame locally as well, because no one really expects X and Y to work together. Yeah, but Bryan has made it work.
I think a couple of players now have kind of started to wonder whether X and Y is the way to go now.
Or whether it was just whether it just happened to be a very good metagame call for this particular tournament.
Especially since the matchup against Dual Primals was pretty good. The Xenius setup is still pretty strong. Instead of just the Smeagol support, you put Yveltal, a more offensive.
Yes, and Yveltal gets rid of Bronzong much better than your typical Xenius partners. Groudon can kill Bronzong, but in Emil's case, if you fire punch into hit proof, it's like oops. Yeah, and you hunt the precipice that safely.
And on top of that, the fire attack landing is also dependent on
the rain.
Yes. So because Bronzong tends to be usually partnered with a Kyogre, so you get the levitate to avoid the ground attack, you get the rain to avoid the fire attack, and Bronzong is untouchable.
Right. Whereas Yveltal just goes knock off.
Yes.
Next.
Or even, yeah. Alright, we'll be moving into game, and on Joseph's side of the field, we do see the Rayquaza, Kyogre, Mawile, Liepard, Gengar, and Talonflame.
Bryan will be packing the X and Y team. Xenius, Yveltal, Thundurus, Landorus, double Genie, a throwback to days gone by.
Yes.
Ferrothorn, and his Mega will be Salamence.
Yeah, I mean, Joseph should lead with the Liepard. Is a relatively okay lead with the Fake Out, and you can disrupt your opponent's plans by threatening the on-call on any Pokemon that tries to protect or
Joseph,
set up.
and Joseph's mega choice, you would expect to be the Mawile because looking on the field, Mawile only really has to worry about Landorus, who will be intimidated by Mawile itself.
So will the Mawile make an appearance as a lead? We will see.
And let's not forget that if Bryan just bring out the Yveltal, Joseph has multiple Dark Attack users to actually take advantage of Yveltal's Dark Aura. And we see both of them on the field at the same time. Liepard with his Foul Play and Mawile with his Sucker Punch.
Yeah, you called it perfectly there, the Liepard and the Mawile lead. Intimidates all around, the Landorus being intimidated, the Mawile being intimidated.
Double Genie for Bryan and just intimidate onto the Liepard, on the Mawile rather.
Joseph want to keep his Mawile in though, after being at -1.
It's still kind of a free attack. If you Mega Evolve, you can absorb the Thunderbolt from Thunderous fairly comfortably and fire off a Play Rough or Iron Head onto whatever you choose.
Well, we have seen very special variants of Landorus as well.
And
so
Bryan has. We know that Bryan is running a special Landorus. I'm not entirely sure. We don't know whether Joseph knows that. As Joseph will stay in, -1 Mawile, but it is going to be Omega. It's going to do more than enough damage. Can probably bring Thunderous straight to its Sash if he chooses to. As Liepard will fake out the Landorus.
and Thunderous.
Thunderous going for the Thunder Wave onto the Liepard. Well, pretty much locking it down and forcing it to rely on priority moves the rest of this battle. As Mawile will go for the Play Rough, lands the Play Rough, will bring Thunderous to its Sash. Oh, not even.
To his Sash, yeah.
After Intimidate, not even enough to bring Thunderous
I
to
think
its Sash.
maybe there's some investment in bulk for Joseph's Mawile, but nevertheless, the Liepard
now the thing is, there's nothing to stop Bryan from firing off Earth Power here. And if Joseph doesn't know the set, he might even be wary of an Earthquake coming out.
Yeah, and Liepard being paralyzed now, and there isn't really a good move to lock down the on-call. I mean, the Thunder Wave could still potentially be pretty good on the Mawile as well.
Well, at this point, I think you want to be getting damage on the Mawile. It is the biggest threat to your team, especially if you have both X and Y in the back. Or even if you're Mega Mans in the back, Mawile beats every single one of them.
And Mawile goes for the Protect here, trying to scout out what attacks Landorus.
Liepard, I think, is going for the Foul Play into the Landorus though.
But we do see a U-turn here into the Liepard. Should bring it down to his Sash.
Not after the Intimidate.
Oh well, yeah, but close enough. The Sash is broken, and Landorus will retreat.
Landorus still showing off that it's high, absolutely high base attack power. Even though we know it is a special set, U-turn still doing a lot of damage.
And we do see the Ferrothorn and the Foul Play into the Thunderous will not connect because of the Protect.
Now Mawile is obviously going to switch at this point. Nothing to hit on the field really.
And I don't know. Liepard can't really on-call the Thunderous as well because now that Liepard has been paralyzed, Thunderous can just Thunder Wave and sort of lock itself into that. It won't be locked down into a Protect.
And the Thunder Wave is the problem for Joseph because you think he has Kyogre and Rayquaza at the back, neither of which wants to be Thunder Wave.
Yes, I think that's the reason why he was aiming the Foul Play at the Thunderous. He wanted to get rid of it as fast as possible.
So he might be forced to keep Mawile in here and try to finish off the Thunderous, but in the process, it's going to take a lot of free damage.
Yeah, at the same time, Liepard is not really providing a very strong support yet.
But no, Bryan retreats the Thunderous, identifying that he needs to preserve it for the rest of the battle, and will send in Salamence?
No, Landorus, further intimidating the Mawile, bringing it down to -2.
Mawile now having his huge power negated, but Mawile will retreat as expected. So Joseph taking the risk of Thunder Wave, but will get away with it this time, brings in his fast Kyogre.
Question is, did the Liepard go for the Foul Play onto the Landorus?
Foul Play onto Ferrothorn will, I think, KO himself, so...
He does want to prioritize getting rid of the Thunderous. And I mean, even if Liepard is at -2, Foul Play doesn't really rely on its own attack stats, so...
And Landorus is fresh, not intimidated.
Yes. And
So
should do a decent amount of damage.
But it is fully
Liepard becomes paralyzed.
Foul Play will not go off as Leech Seed lands on the Kyogre.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Bryan just wants to leave the Liepard in. It's just a slot that is taking up space on Joseph's side of the team, not providing any offensive pressure.
At this point, Landorus is just going to protect, or even U-turn out of the field, since it is faster than Kyogre.
And the Ferrothorn is threatening the Kyogre with the potential
That
super
being
effective
said
power hit.
though, Liepard can on-call the Ferrothorn into this seed. So Kyogre doesn't really have to fear the Power Wave. So it's free to Water Spout, while it still has health. Though after the U-turn, I don't think Water Spout will be doing that much damage, especially to Ferrothorn.
And Liepard does
He
go
will
for the
on-call the
on-call.
Leech Seed, so no Power Wave threat for Bryan this turn. And U-turn coming out, yeah, we will be U-turn to nerf Water Spout's base damage. Only
no,
choose
goes
to
into
KO the
Liepard.
Liepard. A dangerous decision. Since whatever's coming in is going to be taking a near full power Water Spout.
Would it be the Thunderous? No, the Thunderous would be KO'd by
In the
that.
process, removing a source of recovery for Ferroton. It's going to be the Thunderous who will get KO'd by Water Spout.
So I don't think Joseph now has to fear anything, any
And now
paralysis.
Rayquaza kind of free to come in and blow things up. Ferroton now in KO range of Dragon Ascent. Although Leech Seed will give it some recovery if it hits, but it goes into the empty slot.
Yes, which goes into Kyogre, which has already been seeded.
Yep.
So, and now Ferroton is a bit of a dead weight. I mean, the Leech Seed still is a useful harassment tool, but if Joseph can pick up a couple of quick KOs here, it could easily turn the tide.
He really needs to press some advantage, but I don't think it's anything faster than Kyogre. Of course, he has Yveltal with Sucker Punch. I think now would be the time.
Yes. At this range, a Sucker Punch should be enough, boosted by Dark Aura.
Unless he brought Xerneas, which would be a questionable choice.
And let's not forget
he could still bring in Landorus, because Landorus is still faster, but it will be the Xerneas. Or it will be Landorus, who is still faster and will get intimidated on the Mawile. So a not terrible choice for Bryan. Since Earth Follow is a clean one-hit KO on Mawile.
But does he want to risk being KO'd by the Kyogre? And I don't think the Ferroton is going to switch. I mean, he's happy to lock himself into Leech Seed, slowly whittling away at Joseph. Joseph has to try to take a decisive turn and do a lot of damage to Bryan's team.
Kyogre is really just going to Water Spout here, since it still has health. And since Kyogre's Ferroton's is locked to Leech Seed, it doesn't really risk the 1-hit KO from anything on the field.
Indeed.
Mawile has a decision though, it is a -1, and he just to switch it out again. I think Rayquaza will be coming out here. We'll take it off. Oh, it will be Talonflame. No Rayquaza for Joseph this game. I suppose expecting the Xerneas and not doing that well with Yveltal.
Oh, but Ferroton actually retreats here.
It will be the Yveltal. Yes, Yveltal is the choice of legend for Bryan in this game. So Bryan leaving both his Xerneas and his Salamence at home. As Earthquake is revealed from the Landorus actually.
Should hit the
So
Kyogre
it will
for...
hit Kyogre pretty hard. I believe it is banded. This could be a significant damage, but it will be Ice Beam going into the Landorus and will get the KO.
Yeah, but I mean, the Kyogre will go down to Leech Seed damage this turn. So pretty even trade, I would say.
Kyogre leaving the field and having pretty much accomplished his usefulness though.
Yeah, and at this point, Talonflame, since the rain is gone, Talonflame is free to fire his fire attacks right into Ferroton. No threat there.
So with Ferroton and Yveltal against Talonflame and Mawile. Unless Yveltal is capable of taking out Talonflame in a single hit, which it kind of is actually.
It is, but it opens itself up to a play rough from Mawile, which will be more than enough to destroy it.
But that would be a trade
Yes.
in Bryan's favor.
Yes, but I think Joseph will want that trade, especially because the Talonflame is able to one-hit kill the Ferroton with the Flare Blitz if he has
But
it.
if Yveltal goes for
Oh,
if
Talonflame
Yveltal
shows
goes
the...
for the knockoff, then Talonflame goes down. And Ferroton is kind of untouchable.
Oh, overheat there from the Talonflame. Does not connect with the Ferroton Protect.
As play rough, even if it lands, which it does, Mawile has no way of finishing off Ferroton unless he reveals Fire Fang.
I highly doubt it is Fire Fang.
Precisely, so it was going to be a Leech Seed coming out and it will stall Mawile out and take game 1 for Bryan. Joseph maybe not bringing the right option in the
No,
Talonflame.
I felt he should have protected the Talonflame there.
I don't think his Talonflame has Protect.
Then that would have been a huge mistake. And Iron Head, we do see connects with the Ferroton.
Going for the flinches, barely out damaging the Iron Barbs. He needs a flinch on every turn basically. Or Leech Seed misses,
And Leech Seed
but
does
Leech Seed will
connect.
land and that should be game for Bryan.
Yeah, slowly whittled down by the Ferroton.
Doesn't matter how many flinches at this point, Leech Seed will be more than enough to outstall Mawile for Iron Barb's damage. And of course, Ferroton can protect. So this will be game for Bryan.
Yes, no matter how slowly they decide to play this out.
We do not have timer in play, and even if we did, at this point, Mawile is not going to do
Yeah,
enough
I believe
damage.
the outcome is clear. So Joseph now has to consider how to take out the Ferroton. I mean, he does have the option there with the
Yes,
Talonflame.
I'm sure he has Rayquaza though. And knowing what we do with Rayquaza's items, Dragon Ascent is a good 70% to Ferroton.
It'll be interesting to see if Bryan moves on to the finals to see his Leech Seed Ferroton against Farman Swagger Ferroton.
Well, I think Farman specifically picked Swagger for the mirror, so
Yeah, and we'll be moving on to game 2 for this semi-finals.
very clean 1-1, or but effectively 1-0 win for Bryan.
Uh-huh.
Identifying his win condition and making an obvious play of protecting his Ferrothorn because the opposing Talon just could not protect.
Yes. And Joseph has to, I think, evaluate how his support mons actually function.
Considering how the last turn played out, and Joseph knew that he didn't have the protect on his Talon Flame and was likely to be targeted by the knockoff. Maybe his only option there might have been to Sucker Punch the Yveltal with his own morale, with the Dark Aura boost, and really hope for either a crit on that Sucker Punch or a crit on Brave Bird.
As in, just double in.
Double into the Yveltal. It was pretty much his only bet at that point.
Well, regardless, I would like to talk about the start of the game because Lightpart was pretty much rendered useless. It was paralyzed, it couldn't get off. There weren't many opportunities for it to utilize Encore as well. And he couldn't use the foul play effectively because of his paralysis.
The Lightpart and Moa was a strange choice because Moa doesn't really benefit as much from Lightpart's fake out support on turn 1. So, as opposed to something like Kyogre who can fire for immediate water spout, or Rayquaza who can start throwing Dragon Ascent on the field.
He does have to watch out for the Landorus lead though, and yeah, the Genie's lead seemed to be quite effective, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bryan decided to lead that again.
Well, I believe Joseph does have the Gengar, which will put a very swift end to whatever Genie Bryan decides to bring out. And I think he's got to be thinking about making a change now.
Yeah.
Either the Gengar or the Rayquaza to be drafted in place of at least the Lightpart and the Talon Flame.
Bryan definitely thinking about leaving the Xerneas at home, not wanting to face the Mawile. So if he brings the Gengar though, it's just solely to be able to get rid of the Genies. Alright, we're going into match.
Right, Bryan has a 1-0 lead in this set, so only needs one more game to take it to the final. And Joseph really under pressure to adapt, to adjust to what Bryan has, as it will be Yveltal and that is the Landorus.
Yes, Landorus was pretty pivotal for his victory.
It will be Lightpart and it will be Gengar coming out.
Ooh, but Gengar facing down the Yveltal is not something you want to face.
A change that really... But however, he does have fake out on turn 1.
Yeah, I know, but the Landorus should be packing a knockoff, you think?
But Gengar's outspeed, and I'm sure Gengar has an attack to want to kill Landorus with. This is a banned Landorus and it's not packing bulk. So Lightpart can buy Gengar a turn, and Gengar should be taking advantage of that turn because Landorus is banded and cannot protect.
So
forced to switch, so somebody's going to be taking a strong boosted attack from the Gengar.
yeah, the question whether is
If it carries Icy Wind, that Landorus is down.
Alright, Yveltal sniffing out the fake out here, goes for the protect. Lightpart goes for the fake out into the Yveltal's
Do we see Icy Wind? We do see Icy Wind. It is a Specs boosted Icy Wind. It should be a 1-hit KO on Landorus. As it does. A clean 1-hit KO with the choice specs. On the times 4 weak Landorus, even with the spread, more than enough.
He did mitigate the weakness there. I mean, if Yveltal hadn't protected, imagine he would have taken a lot of chip damage as well as having his speed lowered.
And now Bryan in a very strange position because the obvious priority is the Gengar.
Yes.
But opening the Thunderous to the foul play is not fun with Dark Aura on the field.
No, but actually now that Yveltal protected, Lightpart can just encore it into the protect.
And Lightpart is faster than Yveltal.
Yes.
So Bryan has forced himself into a corner here.
Yeah, and Thunderous, I don't think will be able to outspeed and Taunt or Thunderwave the Lightpart to try to solve that.
Oh, Thunderous is faster actually.
But does he carry the Taunt? Oh, but okay, Joseph does not want to risk that
actually,
play.
yeah. I think Joseph is expecting the taunt coming onto Lightpart. Goes for the Intimidate onto the Yveltal, and will be hoping to get a foul play off on the Thunderous. Though now that he has intimidated it, foul play is not going to be doing as much damage.
Yep, and the Thunderous does show the Taunt, so
Go
pretty
dodge
good
the
play.
encore.
Yeah.
Do we see the foul play come out? You do Sucker Punch, it's going to fail, and foul play will land on the Thunderous. Unfortunately, Joseph has intimidated it.
Yeah, but well, it's negated because Yveltal does have Dark Aura boosting the power of
Not
foul
quite
play.
negated though.
Yeah.
Dark Aura is only at 1.33.
Yeah.
Whereas he intimidated will drop it further than the Dark Aura boost.
At the very least now, Thunderous is down, Sash is broken.
Unfortunate though, because that without the Intimidate, that would be a clean 2-hit KO on Thunderous.
So now Lightpart locked into attacking. And Yveltal, I'm not sure he wants to be staring down these two Pokemon. There's not much he can do to pick off the Mawile as well. Although
Yveltal can't do anything because as we know, Yveltal's set, it's one Bryan carries, it's all dark attacks. Even if he carries a flying step, it's still not going to hit Mawile.
Yep. And
And
he
Yveltal will
recognizes
retreat,
that.
yep. Back, it will be the Ferrothorn, so no change for the 4 that Bryan brought to this game. As Mawile will Mega Evolve.
Does he go for the attack on the Thunderous though?
I expect to see a Thunder Wave to at least slow down. Oh, actually a Protect from Thunderous, so a very safe switch from Bryan.
Indeed.
As foul play goes into the Ferrothorn, unintimidated but no Dark Aura, and will break its own Sash.
I mean, does a decent amount of damage.
Ferrothorn
And
is
Play
fairly
Rough
to
into the Thunderous protect.
Bryan doesn't have much of a choice in stopping Mawao now though. So in a very awkward position here.
Yeah, but I mean, Joseph can, I think, safely ignore the Ferrothorn. I mean, it's not doing so much damage. I mean, sure, it's going to throw off HP, but as long as you preserve your Talent Flame for the end and bring it out and make sure that it can't be KO'd by the Yveltal.
Yeah, this turn especially, because like Thunderous protected last turn. So it's easy double target, although you don't really need the double target since Payoff is a clean 1-hit KO at this point. So he could still foul play into the Ferrothorn if he chose to, because after all his sash is already broken.
Yeah, or he could switch it out, maybe bring Lipart in for a fresh fake out on another turn. Although, does he want to really bring in the Gengar though? Or reveal the Talent Flame?
Yes, if he can preserve Lipart especially.
And Thunder Wave on to the Mawile.
It's really, yeah, it's a Hail Mary at this point, trying to stop it from attacking.
And
as foul play will go into Ferrothorn. Yep, into Ferrothorn, do a bit more damage, take a bit more Iron Blast, but sash already broken,
so
doesn't matter
does
that
Mawile
much.
get the attack off?
He does get a pair off, it will land, Thunderous goes down, and now anything Yveltal does will be under threat of being on court.
Not quite yet, I believe, because Lipart is still taunted. And we do see the Gyro Ball should be enough to finish off the Lipart.
It does actually.
Yes, because Lipart is naturally quite speedy.
That's true.
And he has taken, I think, 2 hits of Iron Blast damage. Yeah.
Ferrothorn will recover with leftovers though.
So, but does Joseph want to bring in his Gengar now to face the Yveltal? I mean, it wouldn't be a bad trade. The Gengar will go down to the Sucker Punch, but a Mawile potentially could KO with the Play Rough if it fights his paralysis and connects with the Play Rough attack.
Yveltal was forced to come in for Bryan.
Yes.
And what does Joseph hope to bring in here? It will be his own Rayquaza. So leaving the Kyogre at home this time. A rather nasty one for Rayquaza though. It's going to have to eat a foul play, one suspects.
Well, at this point, I guess, even if you don't have
Joseph has a very straightforward play of going for an attack on the Ferrothorn, a Dragon Sand on the Ferrothorn, and a Play Rough onto the Yveltal.
I was thinking otherwise actually. If you could take down the Yveltal, a Shadow Ball from a Specs Gengar should be able to destroy the Ferrothorn, I feel.
It's a bit iffy because we've seen that Bryan packs a lot of special defense on his Ferrothorn, able to survive a Super Fang and Water Sport combination against Zul. We do see foul play onto the Rayquaza.
Does not Mega Evolve actually. Oh yeah, that's because the Mawile has Mega Evolved as well, and we do see Dragon
Sand will come out. It is Choice Banded into the Yveltal. It is not going to be enough without the Mega. And now he's locked himself into Dragon Sand. He does not have extreme speed. As VGC comes out, Mawile actually being slower than Ferrothorn after paralysis. I'm kind of shocked. As Payoff will land on the Yveltal. So Joseph hedging his bets there in case Mawile was fully paralyzed, identifying that Ferrothorn was not a threat.
Yeah, I mean, it could have ended badly for him if the Mawile attack did not land.
It's hard to say whether not being Mega hurt or helped him because while Rayquaza gains attack when Megaing, he also gains defenses. But he gains a lot more attack than defense, so I think not being Mega actually saved him from the foul play. Which is something Joseph will take note in the future that,
but, I mean,
Megaing in front of Yveltal is a terrible idea. It is a 30 attack boost as opposed to I think only a 10 defense gain.
So now Rayquaza should sacrifice himself to do as much damage as possible to the Ferrothorn, and Mawile actually retreats, wanting to stop any DC recovery. Sends out the Gengar.
Right. Choice Band Dragon Sand into the Ferrothorn may be enough at this point, but it's not Mega, so hard to say. Oh, actually is enough. Choice Band Rayquaza, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, and that brings the semifinals to a tie. We'll be moving on to a third round to determine who moves on to the finals.
Joseph makes both the adjustments we thought he might do, bringing in both the Gengar and the Rayquaza. Both his hard-hitting offensive threats, really.
I was a bit surprised he didn't bring the Talon Flame, I mean, to more effectively deal with the Ferrothorn. But it did work out for him in the end. I think he still has to be a bit wary of the Yveltal, especially since he is running Gengar, which...
But now that Joseph is bringing in his big hitters, Bryan really has to think twice about bringing his Landorus, because his Landorus cannot protect.
Yes. And, well, in that match, I think Lipart was slightly more useful. And I think what mattered was the Thunderous going down quite early in the second match as well.
Not that early though.
Yeah, I mean, it only managed to paralyze... Oh, it did get the Lipart here, but it did only manage to paralyze the Mawile, which really wasn't a factor in the game.
Yveltal itself also didn't really manage to hit that many things hard.
Yes.
Forced to stare down the Lipart, the Mawile. In the end, he did land the foul play on Rayquaza, but non-Mega Rayquaza apparently can survive foul play.
Might
Because
have been
especially since apparently Bryan does not run Life Orb on his Yveltal. I suspect it is Black Glasses.
right. We'll be
So
moving
Life
on.
Orb there would have killed Rayquaza. So Bryan maybe regretting that decision a little bit.
Yeah, so definitely Xerneas is out of the question for Bryan, but maybe he wants to switch up the Landorus and bring his Mans instead.
Man's definitely intimidate, but again, the problem for Bryan is that he's kind of forced to bring Landorus because the Mawile is such a big threat. And Landorus is the one intimidator that does not immediately get KO'd back by
I
Mawile.
think if he's confident in his Ferrothorn endgame and like in the first game, if he could just end it with Mawile versus Ferrothorn, he would definitely come out ahead. But the problem is on Bryan's side, there's just so many strong
So
threats.
Bryan going for his Geomancy lead. Are we going to see the Gengar again though? Or even the Liepard? It is going to be Liepard Gengar. Oh dear.
There's no Yveltal to threaten out the Gengar, the fake out onto the Thunderous on the first turn. Xerneas should protect here, but
If he does protect, then he's kind of forced to taunt the next turn.
I mean, it's a very easy read. What Joseph will do? I mean, just fake out and double target into the Thunderous. I mean, ultimately, Bryan will want to maybe burn the fake out and just double protect because, as you mentioned, the Thunderous is faster and can taunt the Liepard the next turn.
And you want to protect with both things because if you protect with both things, you make Liepard have to choose which one to encore.
Yes.
As opposed to having one obvious encore target.
But
It will be the
well,
double protect and will waste the fake out, but at the same time, there is very little that Thunderous can do to stop Gengar unless he can one KO it, which I'm not sure Thunderbolt can do.
well, I'm not certain that Liepard will go for a support move here, seeing that Thunderous does carry the
He's going to go
taunt.
for encore because if he can force Thunder to taunt the Liepard, then Gengar's free to attack. I think that's exactly what Joseph wants. You force the taunt to stop the encore. If not, you just encore. Either way, you get what you want. Damage on Xerneas or encore in to protect. Bryan may play himself into a bit of a corner. And he will switch out the Xerneas. But what does he have to take the Slash Bomb?
Ferrothorn would.
It will be the
Yeah,
Ferrothorn.
Ferrothorn will be immune to the Slash Bomb incoming.
As Stun Wave comes out onto the Gengar. And I think Liepard is going to be encoring the Thunder Wave. Oh, he got encores the Xerneas slot. And Gengar is fully paralyzed. But we just and Crush. Did we see Slash Bomb on turn 1? We did, right?
Yes.
So it has already locked.
itself into Slash Bomb.
Unfortunate for Joseph, but still not out of the question. He could still stay in and Slash Bomb if he felt like it. And even if Thunderous is sashed, Slash Bomb can poison. We saw that against Melvin.
Yeah, but at this point, I think Bryan is in a very strong position to control the game. Especially now since Thunderous is the faster prankster, able to taunt or Thunder Wave the Liepard. And Gengar now lacking a bit of speed as well.
Still going to be faster than Ferrothorn, of course. And because of the paralysis, it's going to be able to survive Gyro Ball.
Yeah, but I mean, it can't really hit it back, especially since it locked itself into Slash Bomb. So the only option here is to Slash Bomb into the Thunderous, which I think he'll be happy to take. And Liepard retreats, not wanting to be taunted.
It will be the Mawile, so Mo coming in potentially to take damage or even to get paralyzed. And Joseph really hoping his Slash Bomb stays as true as it is. Oh, actually no, not wanting to take that chance at all. Goes for the Rayquaza, it is the Rayquaza.
Yeah, but now he's exposing it in front of a Thunderous, which is now free to just spread status and ruin his day.
It will be Thunderbolt into the normal Mawile, it's going to take a lot of damage. Even a double target from Gyro Ball. Oh, Mawile is going to take a lot of damage, but hangs on
Just barely. Just barely.
with the Intimidate, keeping it alive.
Yeah. Things do not look so good for Joseph now. I mean, even the Gengar, which is his linchpin, or
Has been paralyzed.
yes.
His main attacker, the Mawile, is down to its last breath.
And crucially, Bryan still has a Xerneas, which could potentially set up Geomancy.
There might even be a Yveltal as well.
Yes. So, I mean, the first turn looked very good for
So
Joseph.
the question here is, I think you don't Mega Mawile at this point. What's the point?
Yeah,
You save your Mega for the Rayquaza. But as we know of Joseph's Rayquaza, he can't protect. So he's going to be eating a Thunder Wave this turn.
yes. I mean, Bryan is just free to just sacrifice his Pokemon. He's already pulled ahead, I think, by spreading all these status to ensure that his sweepers will have a very easy time going through Joseph's team. And Thunderous actually protects here.
Potentially letting his Ferrothorn eat the Dragon Ascent.
Maw goes for the Suck Punch but fails, and Dragon Ascent into the Thunderous, which fails. And Ferrothorn should pick up a KO here on the Mawile. Bryan pulls ahead.
But has a fresh fake out coming in.
And yes, that is true. Although I don't think there's still anything that Joseph can take out in one hit in this turn. And as shown, Bryan is just free to trade. It's okay if I lose my Thunderous, but I'll just paralyze your Pokemon and give my Xerneas or my Yveltal an easier time.
So a fresh fake out here. Lipa again unable to on-call Thunderous into Protect because it is slower.
Yes. I mean, he could go for the fake out to break the Sash potentially, and the Dragon Ascent should be able to finish it off. Just means that Ferrothorn is free to lead seed whatever it feels like, or even land a Gyro Ball on the Rayquaza.
Yeah, Thunder Wave onto Rayquaza may not be the best course of action on this turn at least, because it will nerf Gyro Ball's power. As Bryan will reserve his Thunderous for, I believe, his Yveltal. Oh, it's going to be his Landorus. So we're going to intimidate Rayquaza. Very good switch there.
So he actually did not bring the Yveltal for this match, and Dragon Ascent will land.
It will go on to the Ferrothorn. It is at -1, and even if it wasn't intimidated, the Ferrothorn would have hung on. But we have a foul play coming out as well. Foul play, a double target foul play into the Ferrothorn. Will it be enough? The answer is no.
Not quite, not quite. And if Lipa has just broken its own Sash as well.
As Gyro Ball will go into Rayquaza's -1 defense, this could be bad. Just about enough though.
Yes. So
And now we see why foul play did so little. The Ferrothorn not exactly packing the strongest of attacks. Intimidated by the Mawile previously.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't intimidated, then it would have been a KO.
Yep. After the -1 from Dragon Ascent.
And Lipa actually now using a Hail Mary swagger
Oh
onto the
boy,
Landorus.
onto the Landorus, a bad Landorus, probably pressing Rock Slide. All or nothing. Well, he got all against Melvin. Let's see if he gets all or nothing
Yeah,
this
Dragon
time.
Ascent should pick up the KO here on the Ferrothorn. No reason for him to target down the Landorus.
Bring himself to -2. Landorus at +2, Rayquaza at -2. Well, there's only one way an attack with that.
This is going to be a very high risk, high reward turn.
Here we go, here we go. Landorus will try to attack, hits itself in confusion. Look at that damage to itself.
Well, Bryan does have now the option to bring in the Thunderous to stop all these swagger shenanigans.
He has to, yeah, he has to. He has to get the Thunder Wave onto the Rayquaza.
I don't know, does he want to eat the swagger from the Lipa though at this point? And oh, actually Lipa will be able to foul play the Landorus for the KO here, since
Yes.
Landorus is at +2 now.
That will be what he's going for. I think Rayquaza's going to switch out here.
And into the Gengar, which is already paralyzed, so that's not really a big deal.
Joseph playing himself back into position. Oh, but he stays in and gets Thunder Wave. Deciding his Rayquaza was not worth the switch. Hoping to get out of a final attack with Dragon Ascent. And Lipa actually going for another swagger, so not choosing the KO with the...
Yeah, I don't know.
Foul play.
I feel that the foul play would have been the better choice there. It would have forced Bryan to his last.
He's going for the Dragon Ascent into Landorus. He does get it, and that should KO
But
Landorus.
at -1,
The Landorus is not the bulkiest though. It is a
Alright.
ban for Rayquaza. I think that's going to be a KO, as it does.
so Rayquaza now living life on the edge, -3 defenses, going to be KO'd, still gets the knockout on the Landorus.
And
now
Joseph
Bryan-
is trying to ride Swagger all the way.
Yeah, well,
Waven, are you watching? It will be the last two.
yeah.
And
Thunder still have the Sash. though.
Thunder's still able to taunt, most importantly.
Yes.
Assuming it gets through confusion.
I mean, ideally for Joseph is it will hit itself and break its own Sash in the process.
Yes.
It's really
It's a
a
win-win.
very yes.
Oh, Thunderous will try to taunt or Thunder Wave. It's good. He gets the
got the
Thunderbolt off.
Thunderbolt.
It will be weakened, but there is a -3 Rayquaza. It's going down.
And Lipa should be maybe going for the swagger here or the taunt on the.
Yeah, Swagger onto the Xerneas, definitely. We still see, do we see Swagger? It's going to be foul play
play.
into the Thunderous. Breaking his Sash, definitely, but kind of letting Geomancy and actually going for Dazzling Gleam.
Yeah, the Lipa won't survive because of the
Sash is
Sash
already
already
broken.
broken. And Joseph will just be left with a paralyzed Gengar, which is just ready to be taken apart, I think. I mean, now Thunderous can still hit itself and maybe Gengar can survive.
Yes, that is what Joseph is banking on here. Thunderous hits itself, Gengar gets the attack off, and Joseph will take this. Again, one more Swagger roll of the dice.
Very, very risky. Will Thunderous hit
Thunderous
itself?
goes for the attack. He will hit himself in confusion, takes himself out in confusion, and Xerneas is going to be going for Moonblast, which will not KO Gengar.
So now the Gengar has to be Not be
Will he
fully
get a
paralyzed.
special? Will he get a special attack drop? Does
that
Bryan
matter?
get a special attack drop? He gets the special attack drop with Moonblast. Gengar will Sludge Bomb, but with -1 he needs a crit. Does not get the
it.
crit. Does get the poison, but it will not be enough to save Joseph.
Gengar not able to protect to capitalize on the poison.
And Moonblast special attack drop wins it for Bryan Tan.
Very close to the wire match there, I have to say.
Joseph playing himself out of a hole, and honestly, those were his only plays at that point. Choosing what, basically going for a guaranteed kill on one Pokemon and firing off Swagger on the other one in hopes that Pokemon doesn't move.
I don't know. I mean, maybe the Dragon Ascent, on the Thunderous would have been better, I think, and the foul play on the Landorus. But yeah, as you mentioned, the Dragon Ascent was a KO on the Landorus.
Yes.
Landorus not being very bulky.
So foul play would have done more damage overall. So that was the right play for Joseph on that turn. Though maybe he could have swaggered the Xerneas. Definitely was an option.
Yes, yes.
But then again, he had rolled so many swagger dice up to that point, and maybe he didn't want to do it again.
Yeah, so very, very close match, and Bryan will be moving on to face Faman in the finals.
Right, a very hard-fought match as it turns out. Coming all the way down to a Moonblast special attack drop, saving his Xerneas from the Sludge Bomb. With even poison for good measure.
Yeah,
We'll
be moving on to an interview, I believe.
With both players of that very exciting semi-final match.
Stay tuned.
And we are back again, and I'm joined now once again by Bryan Tan, who has won another set and will proceed on to the final to face Faman. So congratulations, Bryan, on a very, very close end to the previous set.
Yeah, it was a very close.
So I think up to a certain point in Game 3, you definitely felt you're in a much better position with Thunderous spreading paralysis, locking down the Lightbird, and all of a sudden, Swagger happened. So how do you feel about how that match went towards the end? Do you think you could have maybe stopped Swagger before it started by taunting it?
I felt that since Life was fairly fragile, I didn't need to really focus on. I didn't really need to focus on taunting it. Maybe slowing it down.
But seeing how Swagger turned out, do you think that would have been the choice to make if you could do it again?
Yeah, I think it would have taunted. But I mean, I couldn't capitalize off the turns that if it was taunted. Yeah, I couldn't see a way to capitalize off the turns.
Yeah, because he managed to get you. Okay, he managed to trap you on the field with Pokemon that would just fall to the Choice Band Dragon Ascent. So it didn't really matter at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did play himself to position, but again, he did get his Swaggers off, his hit, but you pulled through in the end with your own dice roll, the Moonblast special attack drop.
Yeah.
So came all the way down to the wire. So take us through what made you decide to change your choice of legendary in your game 3.
Choice of legendary. I saw that his team was fairly. I didn't really see a way for him to stop Xerneas besides the Lightbird. So if I could take down the Lightbird or taunt it at the turn 1, then I could really sweep his team. Yeah.
So as you turn out, your leads were absolutely disastrous. You walked right into the Lightbird Gengar, but then you managed to call his turn 2 by double protecting, and you did catch his on-call onto the switch out of the Xerneas.
Yeah.
But what were you thinking when you led Xerneas right into the Gengar?
I was not sure if Spec Slash Bomb could KO a bulky Xerneas. So yeah.
As it turns out, it could.
Yeah, I think he could. Yeah.
So definitely dodged the bullet there, but your turn 2 switch was, and then it was perfect. You switched out onto the slot that was on court, and you managed to paralyze the Gengar. So it definitely worked out for you.
Yeah.
And well, as we saw, you managed to put yourself into a very strong position. Then Swagger happened, but in the end you pulled it out with your own Xerneas. Definitely very well played. So congratulations, Bryan, on your choice. But so do you think that throughout the entire set, your choice to bring those 3 supporters plus 1 legendary was the right one?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Cause I felt that 2 restricted mons that I brought did fairly well against his team, but I didn't really know like which could do better or perform better in his team.
So was it the morale that stopped you from bringing both?
Yeah, because Maw and Rival are really hard counters to my team. Like from the practice matches I played.
So you basically have to pick your poison and choose which of your legendaries to bring in each,
Yeah,
in each
and
match.
I think cycling Intimidate was like the key against Maw. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Especially in game 1, I think at one point morale was at -2 or -3.
Yeah.
Definitely help keep it in check.
Yeah. And Ferriton can be used as a check towards Maw. Yeah.
Definitely. So definitely very well played. Your Ferriton definitely proving its worth. Iron Barbs especially, breaking sashes, getting recoil on Rayquaza, just a lot of damage being spread. So even though you actually made a very interesting choice. You brought three of your Pokemon. None of them were Megas, none of them were Legendaries.
Yeah.
So you actually left your Mega at home all the way and only brought 1 Legend, and it worked out for you. So definitely very well thought out, a very good game plan you planned from the start. Even after he adjusted in game 2 by changing to Rayquaza and Gengar, you managed to weather the storm in game 3, weather the swagger in game 3, and pull it out in the final to face Farman. Congratulations, Bryan. Good luck in the final.
Thank you.
So next we'll be going on to an interview with Joseph, the unfortunate loser of that semi-final set. So stay tuned. Alright, I am back again, joined now by the very unfortunate loser of the semi-final set, Joseph Tong. But really, his very first big run at a big tournament here in Singapore, going all the way to the semi-finals and falling really to a Moonblast special attack drop. So congratulations on the run, Joseph. Unfortunate how it ended. So again, congratulations, this is your very first big run at the tournament. I think we only really saw you previously, I think last year's Nationals.
Sorry?
I think you haven't really played that many tournaments overall. I think we did see you last year at Nationals.
Yeah, I did.
Where I think I hacked you in the last round of Swiss, rather unfortunately.
The Dragonite.
So definitely, but today definitely a big run for you. And not to mention you outdid Yu Jie. So making it the top card while Yu Jie fell in Swiss. So congratulations on the run. And we really hope to see you in future tournaments if you're going to do this well. So a very good run considering this is really your first time. I think this year, especially this format, this is your first tournament in this format. So choosing Ryoga and choosing unconventional choices which have really carried you very far today, especially the Specs Gengar. So I'd like to know more about what the thought process that led to the Specs Gengar.
I couldn't find an item for my Gengar because my Talonflame was holding Life Orb and my Lightbulb was holding Focus Sash. So I just threw a choice back. Then surprisingly, one hit KOs Landorus, non-Assault Vest. And
Xerneas even.
Thunderous, I think it does quite a lot, but I don't think it comes close to KOing it. Sludge Bomb is almost a guaranteed KO on Xerneas.
Yeah, definitely that's one of the most important thing.
Yeah.
And I think throughout yesterday and today we've seen your Sludge Bomb is like you poison almost everything it touches.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very useful tool for your Gengar. So tell me more about how you adjusted from game 1 to game 2. When I think in game 1 you brought Kyogre and Talonflame, and in game 2 you changed it to Rayquaza and Gengar. So what made you make the switch?
I didn't expect him to bring Landorus and Thunderous on the first turn, so I think I brought Mao, so I got kind of screwed obviously.
Yep.
I was also surprised that Thunderous is the bulky variant, not the offensive variant for Focus Sash type. But I still don't know what's the item.
It is Focus Sash actually.
Oh, it is Focus Sash, okay. I think it survived something, I can't remember. Oh, it took a foul play, right?
Yeah, I took a foul play.
Yeah, I took
at
a foul
+2.
play. Yeah. So I thought he'll lead Landorus and something else instead of like Thunderous. So I thought just bring Gengar lor. Then I see
He definitely worked out with the IC.
Yeah.
I think he wasn't expecting the one he killed is Landorus.
Yeah,
right
I
off the
think he
bat.
didn't expect it. It's like I think nobody would really expect Choice Space Gengar.
But do you, I mean, for his part as well, do you expect his Landorus to be choice banded? I think in game 1, he's doing a lot of damage with U-turn.
I still don't know what his item is about. Is it
Banned.
ban-
Yeah, it's
banded?
banded.
Because if I'm not wrong, the choice band didn't bring my Liper down to his sash.
He was intimidated though at that point.
Yeah,
because
but
your
I
Momo
only have 4
intimidated.
HP, so
Well, I think that is 252 HP Lifebird, so maybe that did
Yeah.
contribute to it. So definitely, I think in game 1, you did make the adjustment, because I think Landorus especially, because what you brought in game 1, I think a lot of mons that were slower than Landorus.
sorry.
In game 1, you brought a lot of Pokemon that were slower than Landorus. You didn't bring the Gengar, you didn't bring
Yeah,
Rayquaza.
I didn't bring
your
Rayquaza.
Kyogre was slower, and your Moa was slower, so you couldn't really stop it from you turning around and doing a lot of damage.
I also have a problem with like Thunderous actually, because most of the time I find myself like double attacking to his Protect or something along those lines.
Yeah, and I think you didn't really. I mean, do you expect Thunderous to be able to outspeed you with its own priority attacks?
I knew that Thunderous would outspeed me with Taunt, so most of the time I went for Foul Play instead. There was nothing much I could do lah. Foul Play didn't do much anyway.
Although in game 3, I think when you tried to encore the Xerneas into the
Yeah.
Geomancy, I think why didn't you try to encore Thunderous instead though, instead of going for the
It was a
Xerneas?
huge risk that I wanted to take a risk because I was thinking that he might taunt my Liper. So if Encore fails, I still can take a Sludge Bomb, but unfortunately he switched it out to Ferrothorn.
No, that's true. So
Yeah.
that was the risk you tried to take. And in the
Yeah.
end, I think but then in the end you also identified your win condition, which was to try and swagger everything.
Yeah.
And it nearly worked out.
Yeah, it was so close, but so far.
Because I think it was pretty obvious to you and to Bryan that by towards the end of the game, you really couldn't do anything to him. You were locked in a position where you just had to swagger. And it almost worked out for you, but unfortunately, all the way down to the moon, it wasn't even swagger that cost you, it was the Moonblast.
Yeah, but
Moonblast special attack drop, saving the Xerneas.
I did get kind of lucky with the.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
provision.
it was dice rolls all around in the end, the final dice roll method, but still a fantastic run. A very interesting team, definitely, with the banned Rayquaza and the Specs Gengar. So, hope to see more from you, especially with Nationals coming up. So, expect to see you in Nationals as well.
Yeah.
Again, congratulations on run.
Thank you.
Hope to see you in more tournaments. And we'll be taking a break before we proceed with the final of today's Regionals Championship between Farm An and Bryan Tan.